Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Uh-oh. Hide. Ha ha ha. Hello. Hello, party people. What's happening? Let's get us going here. Happy Tuesday. Y'all know I got all the things going on over here. How's everybody feeling? How are we doing on this Tuesday? Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. What's happening? What's up, IG and YouTube and Facebook? Let's see who's gonna be in the lead. I don't know. Facebook was killing y'all. IG was getting y'all. YouTube. What's going on? What's going on? Click that arrow. Click that airplane down there. Share, share, share. Happy Tuesday, y'all. Another session. Another session. I'll be doing like mini master classes every week right here in career compensation and conversation. I'm well. Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. How are you doing? How are you doing? How's everybody doing? One word. If you were to describe how you're doing in one word, what would it be? If you were to describe how you're feeling or how you're doing professionally or personally in one word, what would that word be? Let me see. Describe how you're feeling in one word. One word. Hey, Robin. Hey, Ingrid. One word. Y'all give me one word. One word to describe how you're feeling. Let me see what you got. Let me see what you got. One word to tell me how you feeling today. Better. Okay. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Better. Better. Good. Good. My word, let me see. The word I would use is okay. Great. I love it. I love it. I'm going to say I think I'm going to go with Ingrid. Oh, grateful. You're going to make me change my word. You're going to make me change my word. I like grateful. I like that. I like that. You know what? I am changing. I'm changing mine to grateful. I'm copying. I'm copying. I like that. I like grateful. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Focus. Robin's focused. She's not playing no games. Quit playing around here. Quit playing around here. She is not playing. She's not playing. I love that. I love that. So listen, today we're going to talk about workplace trauma, and I want to give you some resources here. And before I get started, I want to just say, of course, you all know this, but you know how we got to say this. I am not a licensed therapist, nor do I play one on television. Everything and everybody, you should always do your own due diligence, your fact checking, and all the things, right? So anything that I share, always go and check me out, all right? Just want to say that. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is kind of twofold. Last week, I sent out an email. If you're on my email list, you got this. You got an email. You know, I'm always sending things of value that'll help you on your career journey. And I talked about, it was something along the lines of, if this is happening to you at work, here's what to do if these three things are happening. And I said, reply back to me and let me know how you feel about this, right? Ooh, George said hopeful. I like that one too. And here's the thing, y'all. I didn't realize I had never received so many responses to workplace trauma and toxicity and hostile environments since I started doing this as a career coach. The stories I read, bosses cursing people all out, sexual harassment, people crying, men were emailing me telling me about how they can't speak up because they would be judged, how they're suffering. It was overwhelming. And if you are watching me this evening, I want to say, first of all, thank you for entrusting me with your stories and sharing with me and being vulnerable with me. I haven't responded to a lot of you only because I want to be sensitive to where you are and how I respond. But rest assured, I'm going to respond. After I received all those replies, you all, I went and I started doing research. I've had my own traumatic experiences at work, but some of the things that I was reading, it was like, what? Like, this is happening? This is real? And I mean, I got paragraphs, y'all, paragraphs from people. And it was just so heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. And so that's the reason why I wanted to talk about this today. And I also had I have a private client that I talked to Monday. She might be on here. She was sharing with me as well. And I said, you know what, this is big. This is huge. And so I wanted to go and find resources for you. And I'm just logging my laptop on and share as much as I can. So that's how we are here today. So it is real. It is real. And I can't say I didn't have any idea, right? I'm not saying that. It's just, you know, if I don't know, if it's not affecting you, sometimes we don't think about it, you know what I mean? But I was blown away, y'all. And I'm being totally honest with you all. I shared, I don't know if I did it on a podcast or on a YouTube or something, but I shared, it was on YouTube. I talked about a boss that I had who I came to know, intimidated by me. And I had went to this conference, and some of you have heard the story. This is part of one of my traumatic experiences. This is one of many. And I was on the verge of just losing it, and losing it is subjective. It can mean anything to anybody, but I was in a state, I can't even articulate. I can't even give you a name. I was crying. I was upset. And so my boss's boss, I was in the convention. It was a huge convention, and I had to take 30 employees with me. And the only reason I didn't quit that day and fly back home, because I was in Houston, the only reason I didn't is because of those 30 people that were counting on me. That's the only reason I did not leave, because I didn't want to leave them there. Had I gone by myself, it would have been a wrap. It would have been a wrap. My boss's boss saw me, grabbed me like this, grabbed my shoulders and said, Kelly, because I was in a state. He was trying to sabotage me. He wanted me to fail. He wanted me to look bad. And it just, you can't wrap your mind around, why would your boss, why would a person do that to you? Like, I could not fathom it, y'all. And if you can understand it, let me know. Because I couldn't figure it out. And I just couldn't understand. And now I know why. This man was intimidated. I didn't even want his job. I could care less. And y'all know the story. Like, I could care less about climbing the ladder. I could care less. I worked contract because I didn't want to stay anywhere long. And I wanted to make my money. I was a single parent. I wanted my money. I didn't care about climbing no ladder. But he just thought, I guess, that I wanted his job. That man who was my boss, he wanted me to fail. So much so, he was sabotaging me, and I just was going to lose it. So I wanted to share that this isn't something I'm just reading on emails for people. This is something I actually went through. And that was just one time. That was just one time. There was another time they tried to get me out of a company, and it was just because they wanted me out. And they didn't have another way. And it's just wild how people in authority will abuse their authority and not care how it affects people. And how I can recount every step. I can tell you where I was in that convention, next to the bathroom, next to some boxes, because that is a traumatic experience. I won't ever forget it. Absolutely, Stacey, you're welcome. I won't ever forget it. Working in HR, I've seen people come into HR crying. I'll share a last story, and then I want to share some information and some resources with you. This girl was working for this. I know the name of the company, but I won't name it. I want to, but I won't. She was working for this company as a contractor. Her contract was up, and she wanted to be what we call converted into a full-time employee. And she was working for the company, and I remember she came into my office, and she said, Kelly, they won't let me convert. And I'm like, what do you mean? You know, I said, have you done your 6 months and all the things, right? And she said, yeah. And I'm like, well, why not? She said, there's a stipulation in the contract that says that the company can't come after and convert certain employees. I said, well, you're not an employee if you're done with your 6 months. So I talked to my boss and we called the company and all of that. And there was a clause in there that for a year, the company she's worked for, although it was through a temp agency, she couldn't convert. This woman was going to be let go from the company she's been working at. And this company that she was working for wouldn't even say, yes, it's okay, y'all can hire her full time. Why not? That's one person. This woman was distraught. We were both in there crying because it was just so freaking ridiculous. To this day, on LinkedIn, we're connected. It has affected her to this day, y'all, because it was like holding her hostage. This was a temp company that said, "No, y'all can't hire her because she worked for me." But she's done her time. And so I'm sharing that to let you know that I've had experiences. I've seen other people, not just read it. And I know y'all have stories as well. That's it, Stacy. And somebody said, definitely understand a boss trying to sabotage you in your position. I've had one lie on me in front of me. Thankfully, I had proof what he lied about wasn't me. Otherwise, I would have lost my. You see, it's that serious. It's that serious. And like B. Moonis, yes, it's very real. It's very real. So I'm going to share with you all. I want to go through some of the things that are happening currently. You know, I try to keep you up on current events and things that are taking place right now in the workforce. And of course, as I get more information, if you want to know, I'll definitely share. So I'm going to share my screen. Instagram, if you want to come over and check out the presentation, you can go to Career Compensation and Conversations. It's the Facebook group, and we will let you in there. Y'all hold on one second. I'm just going to share my screen. Y'all know how we do. 1 second. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right, let's go through this and then we'll chat afterwards. So I'm gonna make it big. Okay, so workplace trauma. Let's go through it. So for decades, workplace trauma has been associated with people working in professions like the military, firefighting, policing, and first response. So that's true. My dad was in the military. He couldn't sit with his back to a window or to a door. And so he had PTSD, and he had all types of trauma as a result. And so trauma has been associated with the military, right? But yet in recent research shows that trauma is widespread among employees beyond these high-risk, high-stress jobs and can impact workers in any industry for a multitude of reasons that often go overlooked or ignored. So workplace trauma happens when you work in a toxic environment where the negative aspects of a company's culture overcome the positive ones. Toxicity is in the eye of the beholder. We all have different expectations when we approach our work. Toxic doesn't necessarily mean something extreme happened. And it definitely isn't basic pettiness, i.e., you just don't get along with someone. So saying that, I don't get along with Robin is not necessarily a toxic environment, right? But if someone is berating you, and we're going to go on to learn more meanings about this, this is how they define toxic workplaces. And so a common side effect, and here's one of the words that they're using now in the workforce of workplace abuse, is invalidation, which is defined as the rejection or dismissal of your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and behaviors as being valid and understandable. Invalidation can cause significant damage or upset to your psychological health and well-being. Now, I want you to remember this word and write this word down, because now in your HR, in your human resources department, one of the questions, if you go in there and say, right, you feel like you're being abused or in a hostile environment, they're going to ask about feeling invalidated. So I want you to be prepared. I want you to know what they mean when they say invalidated. That means to them, as defined, the rejection or dismissal of your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and behaviors as being valid and understandable. Now, what happens in HR, and y'all know I keep it real with y'all, right? If you go in there and say, you know what, I need a mental health break, they're going to give you an assessment. They're going to go through a checklist. They have a document, right, that they have to submit now, right? And some of the questions on there, you want to ensure that if they're going to label you, that is the right label. If you feel invalidated, now you know what that means if they ask you that question. I'm going to give you some more as we continue. Here's another term. Write this down. Write this down that they're using. Psychological injury. Psychological injuries. These are a growing concern for employers. Psychological injury is a cognitive or emotional symptom that impacts on a person's life, affecting how they think, feel, and behave, also known as mental injury. Check out how they're changing these words, y'all. Also known as mental injury. Psychological injuries includes depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and anxiety. Now, here's the criteria, right, that they are, some questions that you may get asked, right? Let me see how to say this. So this is just 3 that I pulled. There's a whole list of these, but I wanted to give you the top 3 of how they define psychological injury. If you're feeling job insecurity, if you're afraid about losing your job, right? If you're feeling overworked or there's work overload, if you feel like that you have been bullied or any type of harassment. Y'all remember back in the day, it was just sexual harassment, right? Now they have a label and a term for everything. So have you been psychologically injured, right? Don't let anyone give you a name or a label without you knowing what that means. Okay. So the other thing it says, so in terms of psychological injuries, this includes, I want to read this again, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and anxiety. Okay. And this will be in here if you want to go back and write this down. So workplace induced emotional trauma is very real and unfortunately on the rise. The research is also clear. Continuous exposure to trauma can hurt our bodies and lead to debilitating levels of burnout, anxiety, depression, traumatic stress, and a host of other health issues. Episodic and pattern experience like micro and macro aggressions, similar to what I told you about the boss that I was sharing with you, bullying, gaslighting, betrayal, manipulation, and other forms of organizational abuse can have both immediate and lasting psychological and physiological effects. Now, I know there's a lot of words in here, but basically this is saying, do not take for granted that there's something you can't prove, that a guy or a woman has touched you and now you have a case. If you don't have anything tangible, but you know somebody is bullying you based on verbal abuse, or you don't feel comfortable. I remember this guy used to ping me. You know how you ping somebody, and he would ask me to go to lunch, right? And he would do it every day, and I kept saying no. I had all the chats. You know what I'm saying? So I had all the chats of this. That was a form of abuse. If I say no, guess what that means? It means no. So I want you to know, male or female, Don't feel as though that you have to have some type of proof that you have to put up with certain things. You do not. There are micro and macro aggressions, gaslighting, manipulation, right? All of these things will go under workplace induced emotional trauma. Oftentimes, emotional trauma is not tangible. You don't have anything that you can hold and prove your point. You don't have receipts, right? That same person that I was sharing with you, that I was telling you about, my boss and him were something. I would say best friends, but I just tend to think it was more than that. Back then, I had to share an office with him. This guy was a pervert. That's what he was. He would tell me stuff like, take off your coat. It'd be 90 degrees and I would be in a long trench coat because I was so uncomfortable. When I talked to her, she would laugh at me. In meetings, she would call me Princess. Oh, Miss Princess don't want to be in the office with, I'm going to say his name was Steve, because she wants her own. And it wasn't that. But nobody believed me. I had no recourse. And I stayed there because I didn't think I had anything. And then I would tell people, colleagues, and it was kind of a joke. And of course, I just laughed it off, but I was so uncomfortable. And here's the thing, you know what happened? He ended up getting fired, not because of me, because he was on the internet doing y'all know what. But they didn't listen. So this stuff is real. And I'm going to tell you on this first point coming up next on what can we do. I went to my HR department. I worked in HR. My HR business partner was next door to me, and they thought it was funny. So to go to HR and management or not, here's what you can do. Here's what I want you to know. There's a natural inclination to document and report workplace abuse to then work within the HR structures that are in place where we work. So that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to work within the HR structures. I went to my boss. I went to my HR business partner. But sometimes you can be too close to where it didn't matter. But many companies are remarkably unskilled at putting employees first. I'm going to tell you firsthand, and I don't care what anybody say, the HR people are for the company, not for employees, period. Even with this said, there is value in documenting events as they occur so that you can remember the details and not forget the context later. Remember I told you I had the chats? And even when I went to the HR business partner, I made them document it. You may also have a situation so egregious or blatantly illegal that documentation will be necessary. So always document it, even if you're writing it down. And I know sometimes it can be scary. And again, this is male or female. You write it down, the date and everything. There was a lady that was messing with her. She was getting ready to get fired. She kept everything. There was an email that came that she had been holding on for like 7 months. And it said, we get ready to get rid of all of these people. She kept that email. And the day they was getting ready to fire her, she pulled that email out. She's still working there to this day. They didn't want no problems. Keep your documentation. So that's number one, going to HR or your management team. But remember, you document everything as well. Now I'm going to give you some resources here. So do you need accommodations? You know, when you fill out an application, it says, do you require reasonable accommodations? Typically, this is for the ADA, right? American Disability Act. I'm going to give you another one. Let me go through this right here. Employees need to be cared for in ways that our leaders don't always recognize nor value. Workplace trauma, as well as current and past trauma, can get exacerbated, resulting in impairing symptoms or a legally protected disability accommodation. Sometimes seeking out accommodations as part of the process, listen to this, you all. You have to ask for this, though. Sometimes seeking out accommodations as part of the process can hold your immediate supervisor accountable, as well as their respective leadership chain, to meet your needs. Now, Reasonable accommodation doesn't mean a comfy chair or back thing or something like that, anything like that. It can also mean what I'm getting ready to share with you right now. There's something called the Job Accommodation Network. It's called JAN, JAN. This is a source of free expert, excuse me, and confidential guidance on job accommodations and disability employment issues. Now, JAN provides a free one-on-one practical guidance and technical assistance on job accommodation solutions, Title I of the ADA, and related legislation. So JAN is going to help you if, like we were talking before, if it's something that's not tangible. You don't need accommodations as far as a chair or a standing desk or anti-glare thing on your computer. You need accommodations in terms of somebody creating a hostile environment for you. This is where you contact JAN. So I want y'all to check this out. I want you to Google it. I want you to do your research. There is a lot of information out there about this. If you did not know about it, I highly recommend that you check that out, okay? So here's another one. This is from the CDC. So this is an infographic from the CDC. This is the 6 guiding principles to a trauma-informed approach. Again, employers are becoming more and more aware. So is the workforce about trauma in the workplace. So they created a 6 guiding principles to a trauma-informed approach. So to be informed about what trauma looks like. So the first one is safety, trustworthiness, and transparency. This is the approach that they want employers to take, right? Peer support, right? Collaboration and mutuality, empowerment, voice and choice, cultural, historical, and gender issues. So you can also go to the CDC. As you can see right here, it says download an infographic PDF. If you go to the CDC and put in 6 guiding principles to a trauma-informed approach, if you're in a leadership role, you can have this in your office and post this to show that you are an advocate for a non-trauma work environment or something to that effect. But this gives you guiding principles to go by. So if you want to check that out, you definitely can, okay? And here's additional resources. Again, check these out. These are groups, organizations that assist with workplace trauma. There are different type of networks for different groups of people, regardless of who they are. But I wanted to share these with you. Don't worry if you have to go back, you can come back and just watch the replay. But I wanted to share these. So inclusive therapists. So this is therapists that are inclusive regardless of, any type of discriminatory acts or anything like that. NQTTCN, National Queer and Trans Therapists of Color Network. Therapy for Black Girls. Asian Mental Health Project. Decolonizing Therapy. The Loveland Foundation. Psychology Today. I put a star and asterisk by this one because this is the one that's most widely used for workplace trauma. So check out Psychology Today. And then National Alliance on Mental Illness. They have a national warm line directly. And a warm line, you know how you hear a hotline? This is a warm line. A warm line is a peer-run hotline that offers callers emotional support. Is staffed by volunteers who are in recovery themselves, okay? So this is different resources for you. Now, here are some apps also. Now, I will say, I want to put a disclaimer here. A lot of apps came about as a result of the pandemic because we were all inside. So again, double check, make sure you're not giving out your information and things that you don't know about. But here are some that I know that are reputable. Shine, Liberate, Ayana Therapy, and Apollo Neuro. So these are some apps that you can keep. I know that Ayana Therapy is really popular as well. Okay. And as we wrap up, and we'll go to questions and just kind of converse, becoming trauma-informed is a radical act and an evolutionary practice. So this is going to always evolve. Being trauma-informed, you all, is a tool that you keep in your toolkit. When you are in a workplace, which all of you are, and if not, you aspire to be, you want to be trauma informed. This is just what they say, a touch of the iceberg, a touch what I'm sharing today. This is a commitment, and it means shifting. Being trauma informed, hear me, is a commitment, and it means shifting. It means new ways of doing and being, and embodying a deeper sense of purpose that ethically and responsibly works to understand the whole person you are within. This is for you. This is for your employer, for your boss. This is for anyone that you come in contact with while you're in the workforce or going into the workforce. I want all of you, everybody under the sound of my voice to be trauma informed. So how did we do? Was this helpful? Let me get back to you all. Let me stop screen. Okay, I see some questions there. Was this helpful, you all? Remember, you can go back and watch this. Okay, I see the thumbs up. Thank you. The nickname game is a bullying tactic. Stacy says the nickname game is a bullying tactic. Missy, ma'am, Prince. Yes. You know what, Stacy? I didn't even think about that. That's what she said. Kelly is a little princess. You're right. I didn't even think about that. Anina said, yes, I found that out the hard way. HR is for the, yep, always has been. Good for her. Very helpful. Okay, Faith, thank you. Are y'all good, IG? Y'all quiet. Very helpful. I wish I had this before today. Oh, I didn't know if you wanted to come up or not. But let me know, Neen. Teresa said helpful. Okay, good. I'm glad this was helpful. Yeah. You're welcome. This is very real, y'all. And you know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so I did want to kind of wrap up the month with this. I have a therapist. I highly recommend everybody has one. I know that there has always been a stigma around therapists. I was a person that judged therapists, but I realize now, especially kind of where I'm at in my life now, that there's certain things, right, you don't even realize that are traumatic in your life. My coach was sharing with me, and he actually recommended a therapist. He said that he was in a session, and he said that when he was young, he stayed with his aunt, and that when his mom was able to take care of him, he just went back to his mom's, right? And he, everything was fine. Nothing was wrong. But his therapist said, that's a form of trauma. And he said, but nothing happened. And she said, but that's a form of trauma, though. But that was the same thing for me. I stayed with my grandmother until I think it was like 7 or 8. And I'm wondering, like, what do I do now that may have, you know what I'm saying? Like, that experience may have had an effect on me. So I'm wondering if there's something that I do and I don't realize it's as a result of that. You know what I mean? So I highly recommend it. I just think it's good to make yourself whole. If you're interested in being a whole, like for me, it's important that I'm whole for my daughter, even though she's a grown woman, but especially for myself. At this phase in my life, I just want to be the best version of myself. And although sometimes I'm afraid of what's in there, I'm open to it. I'm open to it. So just thought I'd share with y'all. So, okay. Let me get you an invite. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna come back to the question, but we're gonna have Neen jump up here with us. Y'all okay? Y'all all right? Oh, I see. I didn't see it. I didn't see your thing. I think I was on already. Hold on. Okay, here it comes. Okay, let me see what y'all saying. IG, y'all saying it? Y'all ain't saying that. Y'all not saying that. Y'all ain't talking to me today, huh? That's all right. That's all right. Okay. She said, during my job search years ago, I've been told to be careful. There are some bad companies, out there. My question is, what ways can I use to find out whether a company is bad or not? That's an excellent question. One thing that I do is I go out, like when my daughter was looking for employer, I told her to go read the reviews on Glassdoor, and one for the interview process, and two, just to see what people thought of the company, because oftentimes you'll have people that are current employees and former employees that used to work there, and they'll tell the truth. The other thing that a lot of people don't read is Reddit and Quora. Am I saying it right? Quora, Quora. Those people on there, y'all, they tell the truth. They tell the truth. Now, it's a lot of information, but sometimes when I'm just sitting and I'm just either getting ready for y'all and want to share with y'all some information, I'll go through, and I'm a user on there. So if you find me on there, you can get in my group. But some of the stories, y'all, are crazy. Yeah, Faith said COVID really showed me this. Yeah. Reviews are helpful. Yeah, go to Glassdoor, and then if you are a tech person, you can go to I think it's Levels. It's called, is it Levels? Or Blind. I'll take that back. Go to Blind. It's an app, Team Blind. And Team Blind, I think it's Team Blind. I think they changed the name. Teamblind.com. It's an app, actually. And they are what do you call? They're anonymous people. So it could be a VP at Microsoft, but his username will be Tech Guy. You won't know who he is. And you have a bunch of people on there just telling the truth about the company. So the app is called Team Blind. So check it out. Check it out. You're welcome. Thank you for these resources. In my 9-to-5, I work with women re-entering the workforce and seeing the right-hand effects of trauma in a commonplace is my role. Women come to my training program questioning their abilities and skills, and it takes a lot to build them. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. It's a lot to work through. I realize that working with clients, people come into the program and they automatically think that things will just happen right there. It's like losing weight. Like it took you when you was at COVID and you was eating all the cookies and stuff, you're just not going to be in 2022 and it's just going to disappear. It don't happen like that. The same thing with getting a role. The reason why you haven't been able to do it on your own is because of something. IG up, my battery is low. So I may lose y'all. It's because of this, but you can't tell people that they have to work on this, right? But I know it because there's a lot to get through. You got to get through that to say, yes, you're worthy. Yes, you're valuable and all the things. But listen, y'all, this is Neen. And when did we talk? Can you hear me, Neen? Can you? Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can? Okay. We talked when? Monday? Yesterday?
Yes, Monday.
Yes. And she was sharing with me, and I asked her if she would share because I found it of value. And so she was gracious enough to come and share with us. So again, as much or as little you want to share, I guess we'll start. What was going on with you career-wise that made you say to yourself, you know what, I think I want to get assistance? Or you tell me, how did you think about it?
Well, career-wise, first of all, hello everybody. Career-wise, I really enjoyed what I did. I was very good at it, receiving all kinds of awards and things of the sort. But when we were brought home due to COVID in 2020, I had a run-in with someone in the HR office. It was an HR generalist. She would tell me to do this particular thing while I was working at home. And my manager would say, no, who keeps telling you this? And I was like, well, what kind of stuff is this? She's telling me, hey, you need to come on back into the office, which is literally what she would tell me. Hey, you need to come back into the office. You're having issues with your equipment, and your equipment needs to be swapped. My manager would say, no, your profile is simply locked. IT has to unlock it. Contact IT. Okay, I did contact IT about 10 to 12 times. Now, when you're working from home, your equipment has to work. Otherwise, it's required to come back into the office. There is no, you can't do it. So, of course, I didn't realize that was going to cause an issue for me. I'd already been at home for almost 18 months. And the HR general said, hey, you got to come into the office. Your equipment is just not working, which really wasn't the truth. I found out my profile had been locked. So someone, maybe not the actual IT person that I talked to, but someone locked my profile. So I couldn't use my equipment. So I would be forced to come into the office. We found that out really later after the fact. Okay, so we find that out, and I'm on my way to the office. I couldn't, I had an anxiety attack. I thought it was a heart attack, and it's funny to me now, but it was not funny then. I had something like what I called a heart attack, but it was an anxiety attack. I didn't make it to the job. I made it within one block of the job and had to go to urgent care down the street for them to tell me, you're having an anxiety attack. You're not having a heart attack, ma'am. What's the deal? What's going on with you that has worked you up so? And I did let them know. I had to go into the office, been working from home. I didn't know that was going to happen to me. I didn't know that was going to happen. And so I did eventually have to see a therapist. And she did diagnose me with situational anxiety, which I had never heard of, by the way. I was thinking, situational what? She said, it is situational anxiety, and it's real. You have it. These situations have caused you to feel this way. This is the response that your body is giving you because of your situation. Okay, so anyway, I went back home and I was working another few months. Well, about 3 months ago, I got an email that told me, okay, well, you've got to come back into the office. So, of course, I was almost losing my mind. I thought, no, it was still the situational anxiety. My manager contacted me, and again, he said, who keeps telling you this? I was like, well, what kind of stuff is this? Why don't you know what these people are doing? They're calling me on my phone. Well, eventually I did make up my mind. This is not a place that I want to continue working at.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not supposed to go into the job because I was permanently at home. As he said, your performance is high. You are positively productive. That's what he said. You're permanently at home. There was no reason for you to need to try to come in here. So I made the leap to leave the job.
Mm-hmm.
But in between there, I really wasn't going outside for anything. I used to walk 5 miles a day, literally religiously every day, go outside. I love walking as a form of exercise. I would go to my place of worship weekly. I would volunteer every Wednesday at the We Care Center. I stopped all of that. The therapist did have to walk me through why, okay, these things that have happened at the workplace to you, it has really caused you to have this anxiety that is now severe. She said, initially when I met you, it wasn't severe. Yes, you did have an anxiety attack. People have those from time to time. She said, but now it's severe. The things that you've been going through with the workplace has caused you to feel this way. Now you're going to have to be at home and you really don't go anywhere. Well,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I want to say Sunday, I did eventually go outside. My son did say something to me that kind of clicked with me. You taught us this stuff. You taught us about walking through fear. Do it afraid. You're afraid. What is it that you're afraid of? And so I told him. And then he told me, Mommy, what would you do if you weren't afraid? You told us that. What would you do if you were not afraid? And so I went out with him. We went out to dinner. I went inside the building. We went to the movie theater. I went inside the movie theater. And I've been going outside to walk every day since yesterday and today this morning. So I did have some things that I could do for recourse, the things that you did give us. Please follow that. anyone who's going through situations in the workplace, one person tells you one thing, one person in authority, this is an HR person, and then someone else of authority tells you something different, you do have a recourse. I could have filed something with the EEOC. I could have actually, like my manager said, filed something with him. I just chose the opposite because I was well able to do it. I was well able to leave the job, and so I did. But
Amazing.
the major issue here is, even though there is situational anxiety, that's a real term, you guys. Some of you may be going through that now, situational anxiety. I did find the strength and the courage to move forward. And for those of you who are going through something similar, find the courage to go forward. Not necessarily leave your job. I'm not saying that if you are not able to financially afford it, but I am saying find the courage to take a positive step. And Kelly, you've actually told me that many times before. Take a positive, productive step forward for your own good. You can't have other people thinking these good things for you. This is a decision you're going to have to make for yourself. But the best part about it is I'm back outside. I'm back in the world, as I call it.
Amazing. Amazing. Y'all, let's give it up for Nene. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for just sharing what I just thought it was just incredible. And I'd never heard of situational anxiety, and see how our kids, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we raise them and we instill things in them, and oftentimes we leak, because my daughter teaches me stuff all the time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I just think it's
Yes.
amazing. So again, thank you for sharing.
Yes.
Need is rocking with us in the professional academy, and
Yes.
she's going
Yes.
through, she's doing the thing.
Yes.
She's doing the thing. Anything you want to share about TPA? Anything that you
Well, actually, it's been quite an experience. If those of you who are like myself, I did take that leap and left the job, but I needed assistance with my resume, y'all. My ways of doing it, I've been working well over 10 years and never had to have a resume done. And they have different verbiage nowadays. So the resume, I did need that resume help because mine was outdated. The methods that I was using in order to get the resume updated. Really, they were antiquated, going to the library, getting books, and antiquated. And then I went to the QQC, the Quick Commuting Conference, and along came Miss Kelly. Yeah. And my resume is the bomb diggity, absolutely. So, those of you who may feel that the process is a little daunting, it is. But there is somewhere, there's help out there for you. If you need help with your resume, if you need interview help, if you need something help with getting your money, getting that bag, getting them coins. If you need someone to help you with updating your LinkedIn, Kelly is the one y'all need to see. She is the professional that you need to see.
thank you, Neen. Thank you so much. Again, thank you for sharing. Y'all have any questions y'all want to ask Neen while we got her here? I'm looking at y'all over here, IG, to make sure. Any questions? Like I said, I had never heard of situational anxiety. I know my daughter has social anxiety, but she labeled that herself. She hasn't
Oh,
been to anyone to see, but she doesn't, when she's out is awkward for her. I'll just put it
okay.
like that. You know what I mean? Like she goes out
Okay.
and all of that, but she doesn't feel comfortable unless she's with me or something like that. But yeah, so there's a lot happening. And here's my thought though, Nina, and I don't know what your thought is on
Mm-hmm.
this, but and you know me, I just keep it real. When I was with
Yeah.
my grandmother,
Yeah.
I didn't hear about any of these things.
Yeah.
Anxiety or
Yeah.
any of this.
Yeah.
I remember being in the garden with her and I'm like, is it the food? I'm so serious. Like I didn't hear any of this anxiety and trauma. I'm sure it was. Maybe there just wasn't a
Yeah.
label for it. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's the deal. I don't believe that there was a label for these things. They've always been around, I'm certain, but
Yeah,
there was no label for it, so to
yeah,
speak. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, any questions, y'all? Y'all good? I appreciate you all always rocking out on Tuesday. Thank you again, Neen, for hopping up here with me. I
You
really
Thank you
appreciate
for having me. I appreciate that ever so much.
it. Sure. Ingrid said it was swept under the rug while we were growing up. I believe you, Ingrid. I think so too. I think a lot
Yeah.
of stuff was swept under the rug.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, yeah. Um, oh, B Moon said most of the job sites are help. Indeed, also has reviews. Okay, that's good to know, y'all. Well, listen,
Okay.
y'all. Again, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. All the new folks, welcome to the community. This is our little family. We come in and we kick it every week.
Okay.
Um, we've got a holiday coming up, y'all. So enjoy your holiday. Have a great holiday. Enjoy family and friends, and we will see you next week. Take care. Bye.